Hi, Corey.
Hi.
Congratulations on an extraordinary film.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is just the message we need at
Oh,
a time in our lives. So we are I was happy I had a conversation with you the other day to get a little bit of insight into your life with Carl and how lucky you were to have him in your life. So, my first question, Corey, is your family came from the poor rural South where ambitions were narrowly defined, if not downright discouraged. You said during our talk that if it was not for Uncle Carl's support when you were young, you would not have the music career you have today. Can you tell us more about that?
Hi, everybody. I apologize that I can't be there in person, but thank you for having me today. Yeah, Uncle Carl was definitely the a big support in my life to help me get my music career. Again, like you mentioned, the family that we came from was a very loving family, but because of the times they always felt like get a real job. That's, get something safe to make sure that you're taken care of. And so, Uncle Carl was definitely a rebel, as you see in the film. And so he was one of the ones that first got away and decided to follow his heart in the arts and music. And then when I came along, a lot of my family was like, "Oh, Corey, just go to college and get a real job." And Uncle Carl was the one who was like, "No, let that girl go live." And so he was the one who helped me to start my career.
And you said that he encouraged you and supported you to do that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He would take me with him to different events when he was doing things for Matt. And I remember one of his first celebrity fundraising concerts, and he took me. I was 14 years old, and we got to go to the after party, and he watched me mingle in the room. He said, "There's something about you that, you need to really focus on what the things you love to do." And so when I was telling them, my grandmother, who's actually in the film, and family, they were like, "Yeah, that's cute, but go get a real job." And so when I finally made a decision to leave Baltimore to go to New York, Uncle Carl happened to be in Baltimore for holiday. And we packed up his car and he drove me to New York, kissed me on the forehead and said, "Go live, daughter." So, yeah,
How lucky you were.
thank you.
Also said that Carl was candid and unapologetic about his life, and that he shared his work that he did with the AIDS and the LGBT communities with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so for us, because he had taken his life to LA, as you saw in the film, but when he would come home for holiday, we just had Uncle Carl. We didn't have Archbishop. We didn't have the Motown hit singer. We just had good old Uncle Carl. And so, he would talk to us about his life. First and foremost, when I was a little girl, he was the one to really explain to me about the community, the LGBTQ plus community, and how God is love and love is for everyone. God doesn't make mistakes, and we're all here by God's design as we are. And so that helped me it helped to cultivate my mindset going forward. I have friends of all walks of life, colors, creeds, sexualities, whatever it's chosen. That foundation came from the talks I would have with Uncle Carl as a child going into my adulthood. Yeah.
And made your life richer, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. As my friends circle are truly my tribe, and they're comprised of all, again, so many different walks of life of people. But again, that core value understanding of loving everyone, no matter what, came from my growing up with Uncle Carl and his influence. Yeah.
And so when Uncle Carl called you to come when he knew he was dying, what was that like for you?
Uh, It was very, I mean, it's so as we talked on the phone, Uncle Carl and I spoke like minimally twice a week. And for those who know Carl Bean knows he can talk. So it's one of those things if you had a 5-minute question, be prepared to sit for 2 hours. And because of the time difference, he knew what time to call me. And so it was a Friday, I think the first Friday of March of 2021, he called me and said, "Daughter, I'm dying and I need you to come to LA." And it was just like, what? Because I had just talked to him that Tuesday, I'll remember. And, it was just, and you one of those things where everybody has their time to go. But Uncle Carl, had such a youthful personality, even as you saw in the film. He's very jovial, very vibrant. And we all know, again, we all know our time is coming, but he's like, we're not ready for you to, like, what? It's not your time yet. Like, what are you talking about? And so it was just very jarring, and I had to sit with it for a minute. And then, of course, we were still dealing with the pandemic. So getting to him was a little bit difficult. And once I was there, I was there to care give until he took his last breath. Yeah.
You were lucky to be there with him.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the filmmaking, and
Sure.
thank you so much to cover for Sam Pollard.
Hey, Sam.
About it. How did you get brought into the project, Corey, other than your being a family member and to keep it real and in depth? So tell us a little bit about that.
So, as you saw in the film, Uncle Carl was able to primarily do the interview himself. So he would call me from time to time and say, I don't know much about these contracts and things like that, and I want to make sure things are on the up and up. So he was pretty much the one doing everything. And then when he started to decline, that's when Daniel called on me to help out with some things for legal purposes, contract purposes, making sure Uncle Carl, was got what he wanted based on their discussions. And so, I am also Uncle Carl's executive estate. So once he did transition, they brought me in for consultation purposes. And then one of the producers knew me from other things that I've done, and they know, oh, she's also a creative. She's not just, Carl's niece. And that's when I was actually come in as co-producer. And then when I was able to actually make certain contributions to the film, like bringing on Miss Warwick, who's a family friend, who at first was a little, wasn't sure she wanted to do it. And I had to have a conversation and like, oh, okay, we can get Miss Warwick in. Okay, Corey, let's put you in as executive producer now. So yeah, so being able to also give family information. Sorry, it was a little loud. I'm at a recording studio, but if just being able to contribute from familial situations, um, being able to give fact check some things, and add some things that they may not have known about Carl. So it was really good to be able to contribute and make sure that my uncle's legacy is protected in the best way.
A real authentic aspect of it. Do you perform any of Carl's music?
I don't, but ironically though, before he passed, part of the reason why we were talking so much is because it was his great desire to do a play where it's like a one-man show. So he would just be stationary sitting, and then the people around him are acting out parts of his life. So he and I were working on that together. And then Yepa Larson, who Lady Gaga mentioned in the film, he was the co-writer of her song Born This Way. He was very close with Uncle Carl, and so Uncle Carl was recording with him. Yepa would come to the house with this laptop, and they would do some things together. And so we were all talking about like maybe one day getting this, up and running. But unfortunately, Uncle Carl, his health took a turn for the worse. So that's like one of my next goals is to see that come to fruition for him. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
We have a full audience here. They loved it. I don't,
Oh, yeah.
but we opened the program with Elder Jeff Roberson and the New Life Gospel Singers. We
Yeah.
had a 20-minute performance that really got everybody up on their feet, clapping.
Oh, awesome.
So perfect. It was a perfect intro to the film. Is there anybody in the audience who might want a question for Corey, since she is involved with the family and so close to the family?
Were you involved in getting Lady Gaga to be in the film?
I was not. Wellington Love and Daniel Youngie were the ones who were able to lock her in. Ironically, though, we used to sing in the same circles back in the day in New York when she was still Stephanie before she became Lady Gaga. But no, I did not have any involvement in that part. Yeah.
There's a question here.
I'm interested in why you did not use an actor, why the decision to use an animated person.
So actually, it's called rotoscope. So they actually were actors who were playing out those parts. So what happens is human beings are everything you saw that was animated they were actual human people acting out those parts, and then they would put animation over top of it to kind of make it more realistic. Because unfortunately for the family, we don't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of like pictures of Uncle Carl when he was, little. So like the pictures with my grandmother and he as a child, like, and my great grandparents, those were pictures I was able to provide. But there were certain parts of his life that we didn't really have footage of. So we were thinking about maybe getting, well, we did get actors, but then we said just to kind of like give it some color, they use what's called rotoscope. So it's kind of like if you have a green screen or something, and then you put the settings on the background. So in this case, the humans were their setting, and then we put the animation over top of them. Yeah.
It was great. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Corey, tell us what you're doing now in your music world.
Oh wow. Well, I'm preparing for a big show coming up in June. One of my best friends and I, we're going to be doing a song, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway tribute show at a big jazz club in Baltimore called Keystone Corner. And then I'm also recording at this time. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Really wonderful. Maybe you should bring it to New York or out
Yeah,
of Long Island.
yeah.
So we can't thank you enough for making the time to talk with us and to share some of the intimacies of you and your uncle's lives. And for having this film, which is a message that is so necessary right now, all about love. So good luck with your career, and lucky you that you had Carl Bean in your life.
Yes.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you.